Today we have our luncheon for the Mississippi Tourism Association Governor's Conference on Tourism. This is our annual conference where we have our tourism partners from all over the state. We have our CVB directors, our hotels, restaurateurs, attraction partners from all over the state that come and gather for educational sessions. We have networking opportunities, and they just come from all over the state to get together and hear about tourism entities from all over. It's just a great opportunity for all of our partners to come together, to network, to learn about the latest trends in tourism, and it's just a great opportunity for everyone to hear the latest impact on tourism.
We are so thrilled to be sponsoring the Governor's Conference on Tourism annual luncheon, and we are blessed today to have the Lieutenant Governor speak on tourism and its effects on the state of Mississippi. If you look at an economic impact on individual towns, it's tremendous. And going from small towns in the Delta to the hills of Mississippi to the Gulf Coast, it's different for everyone, but the impact is there the same. So you're looking at jobs in not only tourism, but tourism-related industries such as hotels and restaurants.
What types of businesses are members of the Mississippi Tourism Association?
Well, certainly the Hotel Association and the Gaming Association and the Mississippi Bed and Breakfast Association, but it's open to anyone. So we really would welcome others to become a part of it.
We're going to talk a lot about tourism and the importance of tourism to Mississippi's economy, the importance of what these people that are going to be in the room today mean to moving Mississippi forward. We're going to spend some time talking about some additional resources that we're spending to attract more visitors into Mississippi. We really don't need to spend nearly as much time, from my perspective, trying to get people from Natchez to go to Tupelo and people from Tupelo to go to Natchez. We need to get people from Texas and Missouri and Atlanta, Georgia to come to Mississippi, because that's really additive to our state economy, and we've got some wonderful things to see here. We just got to convince more people to come. Tourism has an enormous impact on Mississippi's economy. Literally millions and millions and millions of visitors each year, spending hundreds of millions of dollars in our state. It's something that we think we can grow. It's an area where we've got attractions that should attract people not only from around the United States, but really people from around the globe. When you think about our musical heritage, you think about the King of Rock and Roll in Tupelo, you think about the King of the Blues in Indianola, you think about the Grammy Museum, the new Arts and Entertainment Center in Meridian coming online. So not only do we have a lot of great assets, we have a lot of new assets for people to come back and visit. And so I'm really excited about the opportunities.
I'm Rochelle Hicks, I'm the Executive Director, and I just wanted to welcome everyone to our luncheon. I want to thank Snapshot Publishing and Visit Columbus for sponsoring our luncheon today. I think I would be remiss in not mentioning a few of our facts since we have the Lieutenant Governor here today. So I want to just mention a few of our facts about tourism in Mississippi. We are the fourth largest private sector non-farm employer in our state. We employ more than 117,000 direct and indirect jobs. We bring more than $388 million to the state's general fund. Last year, we had more than 22 million visitors to our state. And we also bring more than $6 billion spent by those visitors in our state. So I think that's very important that we realize the impact of tourism in the state of Mississippi. Now I want to introduce Senator Lydia Chasnaw. She's the chair of our Tourism Committee, our Senate Tourism Committee. She has been in the Senate since 2007, and she represents 8 counties in Mississippi, and she is going to introduce the Lieutenant Governor. So Senator Chasnaw, if you'd please come up.
You know, chairing the Tourism Committee has been a great privilege of mine, and when I first was chosen to do this, I wasn't even sure how to spell tourism, but I've tried to learn my way along over the past 10 years, and I'll have to tell you, the Lieutenant Governor pointed this out last year in Natchez. He said any organization that has a Bloody Mary break's got to have a lot of good things going for it, and I concur with that. I'd also like to mention that my friend and colleague from the House of Representatives, Representative Becky Curry, who chairs the Tourism Committee on the House side, is here. Wave, Becky, so they can see you. Just to give you a little refresher about our fine Lieutenant Governor, he has earned a reputation as a strong leader. I told him I was going to pause when I said that. Those of you that know Lieutenant Governor Reeves, he presides over the 52-member Senate, which is quite a job sometimes. And he is a very strong fiscal conservative and has done a lot of wonderful work trying to keep Mississippi on the straight and narrow path that will lead to economic prosperity. I have enjoyed working with him since he has been our Lieutenant Governor, and I enjoyed working with him when he was our State Treasurer. He has served as the past chairman of the Republican Lieutenant Governors Association, named one of the top 40 elected officials under 40 by the Washington Post. Charter champion by the National Alliance for Public Charter Schools. He's received the State Legislative Achievement Award, but you can read all about this. The main thing that he's done that I think is especially commendable is that he's married to a wonderful girl named Ely, and they are the parents of 3 beautiful daughters. So I would ask that you give our Lieutenant Governor, Tate Reeves, a warm welcome.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all for those kind introductory remarks. Senator, Representative Curry, thank you for being here. It really is a privilege for me to be here. I must tell you, though, had Rochelle chosen to not recite those facts about your industry, it would have been the first time in the last 6 years that I saw her that she failed to recite those facts. And sometimes I get emails reciting those facts, and sometimes I get text messages reciting those facts, just doing her job. But I do appreciate it, and it is vitally important. In fact, when you mentioned that we had 22 million visitors in Mississippi last year, the first thought that came to my mind is we probably should all sit down, and you probably have already done this, but we ought to develop a plan whereby we have 33 million visitors in 10 years. That should be our goal. But I will tell you, we can have those meetings whenever you want to, but I am not speaking at the Governor's Tourism Conference next year unless I get to do it at the Bloody Mary event. You know, I get the opportunity to travel our state and really the entire country a good bit in my role as Lieutenant Governor. I just had the opportunity to be in Chicago last week for about 24 hours. And I'm fortunate to visit some of our state's best restaurants and our state's best hotels. And I got to tell you, in fact, I spent the night in the Chancellor's house in Oxford not too long ago. And the fact of the matter is, we have got some of the nicest venues anywhere in the country. This venue that we're in today is one of my favorite, to be honest with you. I've had my inaugural reception both in 2012 and 2016 were right here in this very building. And so it's really something that I really enjoy. I can't tell you how much I'm impressed, not only though with our hotels and our restaurants, but I also get to see our state from a different angle. And really our surrounding states, as Ely and I travel almost every weekend with our girls who are competing in either soccer tournaments or softball tournaments on any given weekend all around the Southeast. And I got to tell you, the neat thing about those travels is I'm mostly anonymous and really just another exhausted dad trying to keep up. But it's on those trips that I really have the chance to see Mississippi's hospitality in action. And I've got to tell you, in our state, we've really earned our nickname as the hospitality state. We play in states all around the Southeast, and what I have found is, particularly when we travel north, the hospitality we get is not the same as it is as we travel around our state. Last year, I had the great opportunity to travel to Natchez to speak to this very conference, and I had such a good time at the conference that literally Ely and I took the girls back to Natchez and actually did our Christmas pick. Our Christmas picture was in Natchez last year. We're looking for a place, by the way, to do our 2018 picture. So if you have any ideas, please let me know. We're certainly always looking for that. But the fact of the matter is, the people that are in the tourism industry are the ambassadors for our state. You greet visitors, you recommend attractions and restaurants with a smile on your face, even when those enthusiastic tourists ask you to repeat yourself again and again. Not because they didn't hear you, they just want to hear you talk again. But I applaud each of you for your work to promote this beautiful place. It's appropriate that we're in Jackson this year, where the bicentennial celebration will culminate in the opening of the two museums in December. These museums will tell Mississippi's story to thousands of visitors each year, and I hope they stay longer, travel our entire state, and spend as much money as possible. I think it's also appropriate here in our bicentennial year that we're here in our capital city of Jackson. And on the tourism front, downtown Jackson has been very busy. The new Westin, I think y'all went there last night, has opened up. And having had the opportunity to travel all over the world, literally, that particular hotel is second to none in new attraction in downtown hotels. The Mississippi legislature last year passed legislation creating the Capital City Improvement District, which is going to allow us as a state to invest more money in downtown Jackson in terms of infrastructure, because the fact of the matter is, we as taxpayers may not have chosen to do so, but we as taxpayers have literally billions and billions and billions of dollars in capital investment in downtown Jackson. It is in our best interest to invest in the infrastructure, and so we look forward to working with the city where we can to do just that. It's also appropriate that you're in Jackson today because just recently we hosted the Mississippi Book Festival with another great year where we brought thousands to the Capitol grounds to hear their favorite writers. My two youngest daughters, Emma and Maddie, had the opportunity to meet Meg Cabot this year, who you may know wrote the popular Princess Diaries series. It really was a highlight for them. In fact, my fifth grader had one of those books as her summer reading. And so as we were getting ready the morning of the event and explaining to Emma what she was going to do and who she was going to meet, she knew right offhand who Meg Cabot was. And so my wife said to her, Ely said to her, well, Emma, you know, the reason we're going is we're going to be handing out about 1,000 of Meg Cabot's books to school children from around Jackson Public Schools. And Emma said, well, that's great. And she said, and Emma, you'll probably get the opportunity to get one of those books and ask the author to sign it. And Emma kind of got a smile on her face, and she looked at her mom and said, I don't really need to get a new book for her to sign. And she said, what do you mean? She said, and she opened her backpack. And in her backpack was the book she actually read that summer. And she said, I want to get the book signed that I actually read. But that's another great event that brings thousands of people to our town. And I got to tell you, these developments are very exciting for me because I grew up just down the road in Florence, Mississippi. I had the opportunity to attend Millsaps College here in Jackson. And so I see the potential in downtown Jackson, and I know the vital role that tourism must play for us to see a resurgence in our capital city. I also hosted, during that book festival, an event at the old Capitol where the authors came. And I've got to tell you, this is something that I hear regularly. When I'm at the state capitol, some people call it the new capitol, by the way, but when I'm at the state capitol, I hear from visitors from around our state who come in, and it is almost without exception that if you sit and listen to them for a little while, there are a lot of people, evidently, who travel all around Mississippi, all around the country, and they just go and they visit state capitals. It is very rare that when you talk to one of those people that comes through the Capitol, that they do not say that Mississippi has one of the 5 prettiest capitals in all of the country. In addition to that, we hosted an event at the old Capitol. And it strikes me, and I think it's important to say to you, as I talked to the authors at the book festival that came to that opening reception, I can't tell you the number of them that came up to me and said, we go to book festivals all over the country, and every year, the one in downtown Jackson is our #1 venue to attend. Obviously, it's because we've got a great history as it relates to people in that field, but it's also because of the way in which Mississippians treat them when they come to our state. And that's where you and people in your industry come in. I also believe that it's very important to your industry that the state is a good partner, not only in venues, but in creating an environment that helps businesses grow. I know that Craig is here today and does a great job at the Mississippi Division of Tourism within the Mississippi Development Authority. I want to thank you for your efforts. I know Pam's here as well. Thank you as well, representing our state government in working with your industry. But helping you expand your reach, add jobs, and invest in your company are vital to Mississippi because many of you are located on our main streets in the heart of our small communities around the state. In many cases, your success is inextricably tied to the economic health of your town and therefore to our economy. That is why every decision that I make is made with a simple philosophy, and that philosophy is this. I believe that government does not create jobs, but our job is to create an environment which encourages those in the private sector to invest capital and create jobs. And the fact of the matter is, the more tourism we have, the more venues we have, the more museums we have, the more opportunities we have, the better the quality of life is for our state. It's not only good for our economy, it's also good for our quality of life. Now, I would like to tell you also that we should do everything we can as a state to promote your industry. I mentioned going from $22 to $33 million. 22 million to 33 million visitors over the next 10 years. I think that's a goal that we should push for. But to do that, I also recognize that we must, as a state, be willing to help promote what you do. And this year, in addition to funding MDA's efforts, we also have an additional $3 million being spent and made available to the Bicentennial Commission. And I'm happy to tell you, and some of you may already know, that I do have appointments to the Bicentennial Commission. And one of the appointments that I made was Ms. Nancy Carpenter to represent your interest on that commission. Thank you very much for taking that particular task. Or as I like to say to some, congratulations or condolences, whichever is most appropriate. But thank you for doing it, and I think she will certainly do a fantastic job ensuring that we have the ability to highlight to all of those outside of Mississippi all of the good things that we can do here in our state. As I've said to you many times before, I see tourism as a key component of our state's economic development efforts. I want to bring visitors from across the world to spend their money here and learn why we are called the hospitality state. Now, and I want you to hear this from me because I believe it very strongly. When we talk about the monies that we are spending to bring people here, I personally believe that we should spend those resources outside of our state, because I do think we do a good job convincing people in Natchez to go to Tupelo and a good job of convincing people in Tupelo to go to Natchez. But the fact of the matter is, from a state perspective, that doesn't add a lot to overall GDP in our state. We need to do a better job of convincing people from outside our state and, quite frankly, outside our country to come visit Mississippi and do and see the kind of things that are going on here. We must also be a valuable partner in providing a quality workforce. We have invested an additional $50 million in workforce training for employees and community colleges to meet the needs of the marketplace. And I think it goes without saying that in the old days, we had people that were out looking for jobs. Now, in your industry and virtually every other industry in our state and in America, we really don't have a lot of people out looking for jobs. We have a lot of jobs out looking for people. And it's imperative that we have a workforce training that meets the needs of tomorrow's jobs. In Tupelo, we'll open the new replica of the Vietnam Memorial Wall in November. It's the 50th anniversary of the war, and this will be one more site that visitors will want to see while they're in Mississippi. In the Delta, we have a new hotel coming that has at least partial investment from the Trump family. Now, well, you may or may not appreciate the president's politics, or you may or may not appreciate his tweets. I do think we can all agree that having a partnership in Mississippi with the family can do nothing but lead to positive in future investment in our state. It's really exciting also to know that the Grammy Museum in Cleveland has recently opened and that the Arts and Entertainment Center in Meridian is scheduled for opening in April, yet again creating venues that have the opportunity to attract more and more people to our state. This being our bicentennial year, the thing that I said when we kicked it off and the thing that I'll say to you is this. Mississippi has a complicated history. I think we can all agree on that. But it's my view that as a state, we need to, in this our bicentennial year, apologize a little less and brag a lot more about all the great things that are going on in the great state of Mississippi. Having the fourth largest industry, as Rochelle said earlier, and as she reminds me of regularly, you play a vital and critical role in helping us. In fact, in many instances, it's you and people in your industry that have the opportunity to have the first impression on folks from outside Mississippi and from outside our country when they visit here. If we will continue to focus on being the hospitality state, if we'll continue to focus on doing the little things, everything else will take care of itself. Thank you for what you do in your industry. Thank you for what you do for Mississippi's economy. And let's continue to work together to make Mississippi the best place in America to invest capital, to create jobs, to attract tourists, and also to raise a family. Thank y'all. I think we had 26 million people visit Mississippi last year. We've got to continue to have attractions that attract people here. I think that the new facilities coming online is something that's very good. We clearly have a challenge with some as it relates to our history. But with this being our bicentennial year, I've told people all across the state, I really believe we need to spend a little less time apologizing, a lot more time bragging about the great things that are going on in Mississippi.
What are some ways that Mississippi is celebrating its bicentennial this year?
Well, we started off with a tremendous celebration on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. We followed that up with a great celebration in Oxford. And then there are also events going around in all kind of small towns and communities across Mississippi. And then we're going to culminate everything with the grand opening of the two museums here in Jackson. That's the Civil Rights Museum and the Museum of Mississippi History. That'll be in early December, and it's just really going to be a lot of fun. It's when you think about Mississippi having been a state for 200 years now, that's a mighty long time. And so while we have a very complicated history, we've got a future that I think is exceptionally bright.
What types of benefits do members get?
Well, networking is tremendous. And for instance, in Columbus, I work very closely with not only the hotels in Columbus, but the Golden Triangle. So when we have special events coming to town, through our work with MTA and then them being members, it's just a wonderful way for them to know ahead of time and prepare throughout the year with budgeting and strategic planning and certainly benchmark for what they may expect during the year. Sales tax revenue is certainly huge, and this all comes back to the purpose of bringing our tourists to the state of Mississippi and treating them right and making sure that everything in the state of Mississippi is done well. And this goes back to not just those of us who are employed as a CVB director, but really when you look at the people that are coming through your city are going to say, where should I buy gas? Or where should I eat? What is there to do in Columbus, Mississippi? So through MTA, and we do hope this year we have budgeted a Treat 'em Right campaign where we'll be bringing people in that will do a wonderful job, and there will be videos, and we will train our tourism professionals to become more professional at their job.
And where can people get more information about the Mississippi Tourism Association?
You can go to our website, mstourism.com, and for our Governor's Conference, you can go to mtagovernorsconference.com.